Yo, what's going on, guys? And of course, doing the series prediction for the Denver Nuggets. If you have not watched one of these, if you just want to skip to the end when I give my predictions, it's usually final 2-3 minute marker. So whatever that is, go to 3 minutes before the end of the video. There's usually a timestamp. We're going to start with the Nuggets just because they're most recently in our minds as they just beat the Clippers and they'll be facing off against the Thunder. The two MVP candidates going up against each other, Shea versus Jokic. As always, I want to hear your thoughts. Why and who is going to win it and how many games? In the comments, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. If you like content like this, hit that like and subscribe button. We cover everything. We'll be at the draft combine, G League camp next week, getting interviews, and all our work is at hoopsite.com. So let's get right into this. We'll start, as I said, Nuggets, and they're coming off a game 7 against the Clippers where they demolished them. And so far, by the way, kudos to Aaron Gordon, who's just been really a solid piece in terms of like stepping up in a way that because I don't know if you guys know this, Michael Porter is dealing with like an arm thing. So it's really cool to see even Russell Westbrook stepping up. Now, under David Adelman, or it's Adelman, right? Or Aldman. It's Adelman, right? Either way, he took over after Michael Malone, who was dismissed, surprised everyone. Murray has been playing heavy minutes and has delivered efficient, clutch performances, in my opinion, and has actually done some of the best playmaking, not just for himself, but for his teammates that we've seen since the championship run. Christian Braun is not only a guy who is able to finish in transition and be a great complementary scorer, but he's kind of their defensive tone setter. He's a guy who will physically impose his will through rebounds. He's got some size. Yes, he struggled with his three-point shot, but he's this team's trusted perimeter stopper alongside Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr., you can hate him. You know, what is it? Never swing the rock. Porter is a guy who has been quietly efficient from deep. His offense has come in spurts due to him being limited, but he's stretching the floor and grabbing boards consistently and hitting timely shots. And of course, the reliable front court scorer that we mentioned earlier in Aaron Gordon, who's been the physical defender, guy who can guard 1 through 5. He finishes lobs as he did in that game winner. So, you know, just going over anybody, finishing strong, big man wins, and gets to the line actually a lot this series. And of course, the orchestrator, the triple-double master himself, the centerpiece of everything, Nikola Jokić, elevating this team and allowing them to play make. Now, off the bench is Russell Westbrook having his most efficient, almost 41% from 3, just high energy playmaking from him off the bench. And obviously not starting, his aggression has been vital for the second unit's production, paired with the defensive utility, weak side rim protector that is Payne Watson, whose length and toughness is able to help up in important matchups. And yeah, I feel like that's really what they've been going to. I know we've seen, I really wouldn't say anybody else is hugely impacting the rotation outside of those main guys. As if we wanted to look at like the most recent game, little DeAndre Jordan, but they're really going those 7 dudes as their most common lineup. Even in the previous games, maybe a little bit of DeAndre Jordan to help give some breathers, but I think the Jokic and Jamal Murray remain the two-man engine as they're combining for almost 50 points per game, just under 20 assists, 17 assists a game. I think Aaron Gordon's offensive assertiveness is huge. It's helping for Michael Porter Jr.'s, passiveness and limited, production, as well as Christian Braun's defense and shooting and just his ability to keep playing through his shot just not falling. And of course, Westbrook being able to hit his three-point shot and just being able to give this second unit a punch that they've needed. And Adelman has been able to keep the rotations tight and give those 7 players nearly all the meaningful minutes that there are. was it Edelman? Now I'm like, in my head, I'm like so confusing myself. I swear I know how to say it, but it's one of those things when you get it in your head, you're just like doubting yourself. But either way, Denver's starting five remains elite. Their bench production is up. And yes, their defensive depth are thinner than they have been in their past championship run. However, if Westbrook stays efficient, like I said, the bench production is up, and the bench isn't going to be a question. And you have Brown, Westbrook, Watson, and Gordon being able to lock down opposing offensive players. This team may have enough to push their squad deep and go against, obviously, Aaron Gordon's going to go against Chet, Jokic against Hardenstein, and Isaiah Hardenstein is going to give him problems, I think, is going to be my biggest question. Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Joe, J-Dub, Shea. That is the big question. Do they have enough to match that? And that's where we're going to get to next, guys. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts as we start this. Do they have enough? I don't even think I listed correctly everybody on the Thunder's roster, because yes, it's a very interesting squad, the Nuggets, but they don't match up to the Thunder. I don't think anyone except the Boston Celtics, and this is what they're built to do, is to go up against a team like Boston. You have the other, the MVP engine of OKC, Shea, who didn't even necessarily play that great until the end of the series. Just be this relentless facilitator and shot creator that just runs everything. You have J-Dub, who's an all-star, a efficient secondary shot creator who thrives off drives, cuts, mid-range pull-ups, 3-level scorer. You got Luguentz Dort, one of the best defenders in the league. Yeah, his shot isn't hitting right now, but he's going to be able to lock down either Jamal, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic. He'll be able to guard at times. He'll be able to guard Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Isaiah Hardenstein. He's the center, the glue guy. He's a great passer, runs dribble handoffs, insane screener, efficient at everything he does. You got the unicorn and Chet Holmgren, who's going to space the floor or finish, cuts to the basket, backdoor wise, or action off flare screens, and then be able to swat anything from coming near the basket on the defensive end. Then you got Alex Caruso, who literally played center for them. If you guys look at it, I think he's like 20% of his minutes this year were at center. He can play the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. He's also going to give you 4 assists, couple points, shoot threes, get steals. It's just championship pedigree already. Kassan Wallace, a point guard who, yeah, he's low usage, but he's trusted. He's literally plays at the end of games. He can defend. He'll hit timely shots efficiently. He'll pass the ball, be a connective piece, be a facilitator. You got Isaiah Joe, who's just a spacing, sharp-shooting marksman who at any moment you put him in, and he's never seen a three-point shot he doesn't like. And you got the slasher, the gadget player, defender, high motor player who can play multiple positions, small or big lineups, and Aaron Wiggins or Kenrich Williams, who are both role players who will be trusted for gritty defensive possessions. And obviously, Jay Will, if you ever need a backup big who can just provide some floor spacing. But look, they're able, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch over here, Mark Daignault, has been able to blend the youthfulness and their explosiveness, elite defense, a depth-driven team that guards early, switches late, makes you work for every shot. And what they do is if you do get past them at the first level, they have usually 1 or 2 guys who are willing to swat your shots away. Then you have Holmgren, Isaiah Joe, J-Dub, Mixon, whoever else you want to allow for the floor spacing. So either J-Dub or Shea can just orchestrate their way to the paint and either get a 2-point shot, an and one, or just a trip to the free throw line to have some charity stripe shots. It's really hard to beat that. So how do these two teams match up? Because as I said, looking at it, it's been impressive. And I know it's only 4 games for the Thunder. I mean, they had the greatest comeback in NBA playoff history, arguably. They've allowed just 100.5 points per game and have forced 19.5 turnovers in the playoffs. They're rebounding. They're the best rebounding team. They barely turned the ball over. And Caruso, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, and Hartenstein were just such key players. And this is a team that their defense is great. They crash the boards. They move the ball. They don't turn it over. They're disciplined. They're active on defense. And they're just dominant. And that's what you want to see from like a competitive team. Like OKC is probably the most balanced defensive team, top 3 in everything. They completely shut down the Memphis Grizzlies. And obviously, Shea's still a superstar. He just didn't have a good series and they still killed it. And that's the crazy part. So Shea and Lou Dort weren't at their best, and they're still the team to beat. So how do they match up? All right. We're going to just give our prediction here. Put up a little thing. Got our stats. You can never put out Jokic. Like, I think the Nuggets can win a couple games and surprise them. I think the reason they went out and got Hartenstein was to give guys like Jokic trouble. Yeah, Jokic is going to bring him out and make him earn the threes. Then you switch Chet. And then when you have him drive, you have Hartenstein there waiting for him. So OKC is the better defensive and offensive team. What I think the one thing you could say that the depth of Holmgren, behind Holmgren and Shea and J-Dub, my apology, of Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Wallace, and the plethora of players that we mentioned. And now that they have size in Isaiah Hartenstein, plus SGA and J-Dub, and being able to constantly create pressure with their downhill scoring and getting to the free throw line, allowing them to bring, just breathers, and just, again, having all this production off the bench, being one of the best, if not the best defensive squad there that forces turnovers, block shots. I think you look at, the Jokic engine, the triple-double machine who runs their entire offense. Jamal Murray's playing well. So is Russell Westbrook. They have multiple NBA champions on the roster. It's a veteran core that, like I said, that has deep playoff belts under their belts. They're shooting well. They're being able to weaponize their space. And the Thunder, SGA hasn't played so far in the playoffs well, and Denver has been switching a lot more on defense. And if they can continue, if they can take some of the tips they saw what the Grizzlies did before John Morant got hurt, of being this physical, switch-heavy team, there could be an option. However, I think Michael Porter Jr. is limited. He's an important option, third option most nights, and he's disappeared or is passive most games. And are they going to be able to contain the mobile big like Holmgren and all the shooting that they have? And their coach is not tested under deep playoff pressure, or the one making the decisions. Yeah, he was on the bench when they won, but he hasn't done it. I would say, and Jokic is the best player in the world. I know that. I think OKC has the depth. I think OKC has the defense. Yes, Denver's shooting better right now, but I think Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein and Caruso and J. Will is a better interior matchup than just Jokic and Aaron Gordon. No offense. And of course, having Marky Mark, head coach of the Funky Bunch, he's been there for a while, and they just had like a week off. So look, the Thunder, I think, are going to win this in 6. SGA improves his shot selection. Holmgren is the unicorn. He's going to stretch Jokic defensively, and I think that's going to give the Nuggets problems. And Denver's path to winning is to outshoot them, rely on MPJ regaining his form, Russell Westbrook playing like this, Christian Brown's shot coming back, and Jokic punishing OKC's interior, causing them foul trouble, and Isaiah Hartenstein leads the game early. But I think the Thunder have the edge. Their defense rebounding a balanced attack, their plethora of scoring, just gives them the tools to disrupt Denver's system, especially if Jokic gets limited help again. And yeah, that's basically it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts.